Hello humans, Master Dinnerflex here, bringing you the low quality content you deserve, and today I have to go back on pretty much everything I said about this deck. Now, when I was saying my opinions on Exosisters, it was actually very valid because it was very unsupported at the time. You pretty much had 4 monsters to your entire archetype, and they were entirely dependent on the opponent, and their ability to XC summon was incredibly underwhelming. Because not only was it infrequent to even XC summon, pretty much like Tellarknights, but even when they did, 1 XC could not get them very far, and it was that way pretty much once we got Grand Creators, and even once we got the rank 8, it still didn't solve this problem. However, then, in Power of the Elements, we got Exosister Malfa, and this card single-handedly undermined that opinion of mine, and I can explain why. Basically, as long as you draw 1 XE, or Malfia plus a monster, you have an insane combo. And I'm not taking that very lightly. Now, to put it very, very bluntly, the power increase this deck got from Malfa and the new trap, which is also very good, is staggering. This deck went from barely functional to kind of insane. Like, this is the first deck I've tested in a while that feels like it can play in this format. And that's nuts. That's nuts, because this format is unplayable. So that's very interesting. Okay, so basically, I'm going to go straight into the deck list, and I have plenty of replays for you to watch to kind of show you how I've kind of been interested in this deck, but let's get into it. So we got Triple Mafia. If you control no monsters, or you only control XE summon monsters, you can special summon it from the hand, and then you can special summon Elise specifically out of the deck, and that's just a rank 4. And what's really interesting about this Exosister is, whenever you XZ summon, whenever a card in the graveyard is moved, period, then you can tag out like all the others do. Well, the others need your opponent to do something, you can trigger this one, which actually makes this one like exactly how the archetype should have been designed, which is very, very cool. I actually like this a lot. But anyways, Triple Mafia, Triple Gigabyte. I've explained this one before. If you control an Exosister, you can just special summon it from your hand. And it tags out like the rest of them. And its sister pair is Stella. Then we got Elaine. Actually, let me pair these a little better. Because what's really dumb about this archetype is the pairs are redundant. They don't actually complement each other at all. I think I've said this before as well, but like, the pairs are 2 different things that special summon from the hand, and the other pairs are 2 normal summons that let you see draws. Those don't complement each other at all. They're completely redundant, which makes the pairs really weird. But regardless of that, then we got Stella. It's a worse version of Elise, where you can special summon a sister out of your hand, but it's better to do this because it can't get hit with hand traps. When we go to the other pair, we've got Sophia and Not Sophia. Sophia is by far the better of this pair. I know people go for more Elaine and then some Sophia. That's dumb. Because what I realized is Elaine is terrible. It is literally the worst card in the deck, and it's not even close. Elaine is only maxed out in this deck because there's no other Exosisters to play, and you have to max out on these because you have to XC summon. Sophia, if you control another Exosister, you can just draw a card. But this one, you put an Exosister card from your hand to the top of the deck for cost, and then draw a card. And that's just so bad. It's also still a normal summon, which isn't very good. And Sophia, yeah, you need to control a monster, but like, that's not hard. That's not difficult in any way, shape, or form. Elaine is just very bad, which is why I just call it Not Sophia. And then Majestus Flame Zoro. what it does is you can equip a Magistus from your extra deck to it, and when you do that, it can revive a spellcaster out of your hand or graveyard. And in the equips we play for it, I'll just skip to them. One of them becomes like an MST, which is nice, and the other one just searches another Zora, which is also very cool. But basically, the reason we play this outside of any other spellcaster extender is because Malfa changed this deck a lot, in that the turn you summon Malfa with its effect, you cannot special summon any monsters except Exosisters. So basically, you have to Marauding Captain or Wolfbark with this card, because you can't special summon it. So it makes it very limited in its uses, but it's still very, very cool. And it's why this deck is no longer playing like the Gigabyte and all the Charmer support creatures. Like, it can't play them anymore just because Malfa is superior, and the combo literally requires using Malfa every single instance. So, yeah. And then we got triple packs and one Amento. Only spells in the deck. These are the only spells. They are the only spells I felt that are needed, and Amento is kind of like a tech card. You could cut this entirely and not miss it at all. Then for the traps, we got triple Vadis, very good. You guys know the stuff with this. And then the new trap, Latana or whatever. If all monsters you control are Exosisters, you can pay 800 life points, target one card your opponent controls are in their graveyard, banish it, then you can apply one of these effects. You can XE summon an Exosister, or if you XE summon previous list turn, banish one card your opponent controls. That doesn't target. So, like, a basic combo with this can literally, like, banish 4 cards your opponent controls, which is very, very funny. Yeah, very cool card. It also pairs very well with Vadis if your opponent's not trying to play into it, because then you can just summon these two things and actually summon them using this effect, which is very cool, and you get a banish out of it. Very nice trap card. The only weakness is that you do have to be playing on some level, and what's really interesting is Nibiru is a very hard counter this card, because you'll control a primal token, which is not an Exosister, so that's something. Now, this trap part of the trap lineup is a joke. Triple Strike, Triple Judgment, Triple Warning. The reason this is a joke is I wanted to play 9 solemns because these girls are clearly children of God, and I just wanted to max out on solemns. But honestly, this deck does want to play a lot of trap cards, just because it is very back row oriented naturally because of Vadis and this one. So, like, obviously it needs some back row to back it up. But I chose a bunch of solemns over, like, more generic ones and hand traps because it's funny. And what I've learned is Solemn Warning is actually very good right now. Sure, if your opponent has fully played and you have nothing to interact with their board, it sucks. But assuming you're playing at any level, or you just go first, this card honestly has been outperforming Strike. Because Strike can't hit the tokens, it can't hit the fusion spells, but Warning can. And Warning, it just so happens that all the best monster effects special summon monsters. It's crazy. So yeah, just a bunch of solemns. And sure, there's like, 80 million cards in this deck pays life points, but who cares? You win before then, so that doesn't matter. And I'm not joking when I say that. This deck literally wins before you are ever concerned about not paying for a solemn. And then triple Imperm. It's the only hand trap because it's the only one that you can just let your opponent go off, and on their turn, just Imperm whatever important bullshit they have. Exosisters for the extra deck. We're maxed out on the ones that search because they are clearly the best ones. So, basically like that. Not only that, this one is the best disruption, and it searches the spells or traps, which is better than searching monsters because Pax also searches monsters. So this card can search the entire archetype and has the best disruption effect. Whereas this one can search the monsters, which is very important because these are hard once per turn, and you need to conduct 2 searches, which is nice. So this one's the second best. Also, it prevents Graveyard Revival. The rank 8, I have went into the second one quite a few times, so it is pretty nice. But yeah, this is like the really, really broken XE. 2 rank 4 Exosisters. It's a non-targeting banish, and then you can tag it out when your opponent activates a card effect to turn it into an XE under it. And what I didn't realize is its ability to tag out isn't once per turn. So if your opponent imperms it and you chain to tag it out, and then they use like Chalice, you can chain that to tag it out. And like, if your opponent hasn't realized that, it's very funny. It's very cool. Then we got one of the other Exosisters. So Yugioh, this one's neat. It's the best like floodgate effect among them because it's just Abyss Dweller, but also its ability to bounce is really nice in the face of a Mirror Jade, so that's pretty cool. And then this one, Jabreen is really nice because not only is it like an imperm, so it's a pretty good disruption, similar to Malachi's because it can just turn something off, but its follow-up effect is way, way, way important. You can attach a material from this card. For the rest of the turn, all XC monsters you control will gain 800 attack. Meaning, the moment you activate this, for the rest of the turn, every single XC monster you will ever summon will gain 800 for that turn. So if you activate this and then turn it into Beedrill, it's at 33. All your other XCs just gain a blanket 800. It makes it very easy to OTK with this card. Very nice. And then, for like the generic stuff, we got the Beedrill and Zeus. They don't come up very often because of Mafia. And then Exiton. This extra deck is not tight. And these cards don't really have a great function outside of very specifically being one-ofs. And Exiton, I think has come up before, but I don't remember. Because I haven't been testing this alone. VictoryFlare was playing this on his stream. I'll actually leave a link to his YouTube channel. But yeah, basically, he started playing this deck. Someone in his stream told him to play this, and I said, hey, play 9 solemns in here. It's really funny. And then it turned out to be actually kind of good. So that's pretty cool. And then I explained the equips. They just give Magistus bonus effects. For the side deck, one of the Synchro, because I think it's very funny. It's a Floodgate, woo. Triple Sphere mode. So this might be a little weird. Why not Lava Golem and whatnot? And it's the exact... It all comes down to Mafia. So Lava Golem, you would think, oh, you can just use Mafia after you use it. But no, because that's a special summon which you can't conduct. However, Sphere mode is a normal summon. So you can still special summon as many Exosisters as you want. Sure, it's kind of clunky, like very, very clunky, but it definitely has more synergy than Lava Golem. And then extra hand traps that I pretend are good in here. Ghost Ogre is actually pretty good. And then Triple Dark Ruler, Feather Duster, evenly matched. Basic side deck. Or for the most part, except maybe these four. Yeah, that's it for the main deck. Now, you might be asking, why not just cut all these for hand traps? This is a hand trap meta. It's because hand traps don't actually achieve anything. You can hand trap your opponent like 3 to 4 times and all full combo. I've learned this format. If you actually are concerned about winning the match, you gotta accept that sometimes game 1 is truly unwinnable. And I think once you realize that, you can actually optimize your deck in a way that is just plainly superior. And besides, the moment we get this deck, it's not going to be this format. It's going to be another format. So it's kind of hard to actually care at all about this format's theories when we'll probably not only be in another format, but we could be at the end or the beginning of the format after that. So, like, kind of pointless to use current theory for this future. But that's why 9 solemns are in here, because this is universal, even if it isn't very good. But now that I've talked your ear off with this deck list, let's get into some replays. Well, I hope you learned something, but if you didn't, that's too bad. Basically, this deck is actually very cool. I think if all these cards were dropped right now, they would see some play in this format. I actually do think they are on that level. Sure, this is a format where everyone wants to throw the coolest looking 60 cards in their shoebox they can find in one deck. But, like, this is a very competent, straightforward strategy that optimal gameplay rewards much higher. It actually is, like, even though it's very basic, it is pretty skill-based because how you sequence your traps and how you sequence just your summons can impact the entirety of the game, which is very cool. I like decks like that. My only critique in this deck is its artwork. These are just boring German nuns, and their cool power-up is they turn blue and yellow, and that's about it. Like, I find this to be probably one of the most boring waifu artwork archetypes probably of all time. Maybe there's some that are worse, but my favorite part about the artwork isn't the characters at all. It's the fact that this is, like, implying some kind of I Am Legend apocalypse, where somehow, like, they're running about in ruins, and that's kind of interesting, but, yeah, that's my ultimate critique, and because of that, this deck is unplayable. But, yep, that's about it. Thank you all for watching, and remember, Master Dinnerflax will take your soul.
Knockout. You win.